31 years after the Srebrenica genocide, the search for truth, justice, and remembrance continues. From the Srebrenica Potocari Memorial Centre, we remember the victims, hear the voices of survivors, and examine the lasting legacy of the Europe's darkest chapters. I'm Nadja Muftic, and this is Across the Balkans. In July 1995, the Bosnian Serb army murdered around 8,000 Bosniak men, boys in Srebrenica. More than 25,000 women, children, and older people were forcibly expelled. This year's family in Srebrenica will once again bury the remains of their loved ones. Adem Mehmedovic has more.
In Bosnia and Herzegovina, one of the greatest atrocities in Europe since World War II still feels fresh, even though 3 decades have passed. This is particularly true for families still searching for the remains of loved ones they lost during the Srebrenica genocide. 31 years on, the remains of 10 more victims will be buried at the Srebrenica Potocari Memorial Centre. The Institute for Missing Persons of Bosnia and Herzegovina says the victims were between 20 and 56 years old. Among them are 3 young men who were in their 20s. The youngest is Nadja Muftic, who was born in 1975. He disappeared in July 1995 in the Bratunac area. His remains were exhumed in 2022 at Kameničko Brdo. The oldest victim, Mehmedovic, was born in 1939 in Srebrenica. His remains were exhumed in 2001 following the uncovering of the Kamenica Cenčari mass grave. He will be buried beside his brother Juso. More than 6,000 victims have been buried at the memorial site in Potocari, but the remains of around 900 victims are still missing. From 1992 to 1995, after the breakup of Yugoslavia, Bosnian Serbs, supported by Slobodan Milosevic's government, made genocidal moves against Bosnian Muslims. They aimed to carve out territory for ethnic Serbs, which would eventually unite with neighbouring Serbia. Serbian forces killed over 8,000 Muslim Bosnian boys and men. 40,000 people lived there at the time, including those who had sought refuge there from surrounding communities. It was a designated protected zone under the UN's peacekeeping mandate. Forensic scientists and the International Commission on Missing Persons have worked to locate the remains of those killed. Perpetrators had moved bodies to secondary and tertiary areas to conceal their crime. This July, 46 graves in Srebrenica will be reopened so that newly identified remains of the same victims can be reunited with the remains that were buried there previously. Campaigns and vigils across the globe mark the 31st anniversary with the theme We Are Here, which honours the resilience of survivors and the ongoing pursuit of justice against genocide denial. In 2024, the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution to commemorate the Srebrenica genocide, which provided some closure for survivors. Each newly identified victim gives another family the chance to finally say goodbye to their loved ones in a dignified manner. However, with the ones still missing, the legacy of Srebrenica will remain an open wound for many Bosnians for a long time yet. Adem Mehmedovic, Across the Balkans.
They were children in Srebrenica in July 1995. Today, they are brave and successful people who are doing everything they can through their work and dedication to ensure that Srebrenica genocide is never forgotten. Joining me today are Almasa Salihovic, spokesperson for the Srebrenica Memorial Centre, and Adem Mehmedovic, historian and journalist from Srebrenica. Thank you for joining us in Across the Balkans. When we are saying 11th of July, when we are saying July 1995, horrible memories that you have, what was the most hardest one that you're keeping until these days?
Well, for me personally, it's the first. Thank you for calling and for to be able to speak with you. Personally, we always remember everything, but the one thing that we remember the most is this 11th of July. It's the chaos and the fear and the crowd, and this place, actually coming to this place for salvation. So I think that these are the most painful memories in my mind today, saying goodbye to at that time we didn't know that it was a goodbye to some of my family members, including my brother. But eventually the chaos is something that we, most of us, remember. As a kid, you just remember the people, the chaos, the fear, the screams, and uncertainty what is about to happen. But basically you're with your mother at that time, and she is the most important person and a figure at that time in your life, because the only person that I believe that nothing is going to happen is my mother. She was the one who always would say nothing is going to happen to you as long as you're with me. And I believe that so much, and I think that is the thing that helped me go through, to be able to speak today in the way that I speak. Because my mother, she was like all the mothers of Srebrenica, she was a traditional Bosniak Muslim woman. And her robe, her clothes at that time were my salvation. She said, hold on to my robe and do not let go. So until the very last moment when we entered the buses, when we were forcibly transported from here, she was my salvation, to be honest, in that way. As a kid, you do not see anybody else who is going to protect you other than your mother, because my siblings were also with us, but they were the oldest, like 15, 16 and more. So
and how old you was?
I was 8. So in my personal opinion today, when I remember that, I'm so grateful that I was an 8-year-old. Because when you're a kid, you do not process the danger, you do not see the danger in the way that my family members, including my brothers and sisters, were seen in those moments, because they were aware what can happen to them. My sisters knew what could have happened to them. My brothers were afraid for their lives. And my mother was afraid for all of us. But she was still there, the strongest figure that we basically were around. Personally, the moment when we left this place, she was the only person that I thought that she could protect me from. But the very specific moment that I felt the fear, that I will never forget that moment, when even I forgot about my mother, even I forgot that she is unable to protect me, was the moment when we entered the bus and when that bus was stopped, and when the soldier entered and just basically demanding all stuff that we didn't have. But in that moment, I think an 8-year-old Almasa was aware of what could have happened to her in that specific moment.
Thank you, Adem. You was 5, as I remember, right?
I was 5 when war started in July 1995. I was 8, and like Almasa says, we were kids during the war, and I remember hunger, I remember gunfire, I remember grenades, I remember dead people. And when you see dead things during the war, it stays for the whole life. When we talk about July 11, I remember fear, because I was here with my mother and the sister. My sister, she was 1 year old, and we remember a lot of people on one place, and all the people they just walk, and we can see fear on their face. And like Almasa says, in that moments, only protection is mother.
I'm a child of Sarajevo siege. I was 12 when the war in Sarajevo started, so our traumas are nothing comparing to the things that you passed through at that time. How those horrible things and traumas affected you, and how maybe somehow how created you for being today such a great human beings as you are?
Well, unfortunately, some traumas make people unable to deal with their traumas ever, and they just cannot be the same people, whether they were kids or grown-ups. Some of us ended up with severe PTSD symptoms, of course, and even today, most of the people never managed to deal with all of those symptoms. They were just trying to survive further on. Even the war was over, genocide was over, then for these people, it never stopped. But I think that some of us, by maybe God's will, we managed to kind of surpass everything that was within us in a way that we can speak about that freely, as professional as we can. It is not possible to withdraw all of your emotions. Every time I mention my brother and his characteristics and what he loved, what he taught me, I always get emotional, and that is something I try to suppress when I need to tell another thing. And the thing is that we mustn't forget, we must keep talking, because so many people cannot talk. If we have this ability to be able to speak the truth, to be able to pass on the message, then we must do so. The time when we are feeling sorry for ourselves is way behind us, and we survived for the reason. We are survivors, and that is precisely the word that we need to have always in our mind. We survive for the reason, we are resilient, we have so many people that we look up to, we have the mothers who created so much for us to continue with their work once they're gone. And precisely because of that, I am so grateful that I managed through growing up, I managed to kind of process. Nobody helped us. I must be specific. Nobody helped us. Nobody sat with us and said, let's talk about your traumas. Let's remember. What do you remember? The first thing that we were asked, can you tell us your story? Were probably the journalists and the people who wanted to hear our stories. Nobody prepared us for that. And I think that by growing up yourself, by having your own memories, I managed personally to collect all the bits and pieces of my memory into the story that I now am able to encompass and I'm able to understand. So when I was growing up, of course, I just learned more historical facts, more, let's say, we read more academic reading and the books, and we heard so many people telling their own personal testimonies. And on the way when we were growing up, you meet so many amazing personalities that have been through the worst things than we did, and they're managed to basically collect themselves and continue talking. So I think that through many personalities, through our personal growing up, you just kind of collect all bits and pieces of yourself, and you just realize there is no time to lose, there is no time to feel sorry for one another, there is no time that people should only give us sympathy for our pain. They should listen to us, and they should hear us. They should hear the message that this never again should really be a warning for all of us. We're here to pass on our stories, but people here need to understand that this is not just our destiny. This could be the destiny of all of the people tomorrow elsewhere in the world. So we just need to keep warning, and that's why we can, and thank God that we can speak about that.
I'm very proud of both of you that you could manage to have your own families now and that you are living in Srebrenica. What is Srebrenica today? How passing all of time, not only in July, other months, 11 months, how is going in Srebrenica?
For us, Srebrenica is everything. We measure times from July 11, 1995. And after war, we spend time to rebuild our lives. We don't have anything after wars. We must made our lives. We must go to school, education, to become what we are today. Today, Srebrenica, in early years, everywhere where we go, we are always from Srebrenica. And I decide, probably Almasa too, the only place where we can live and be happy, actually, where we can find our peace is Srebrenica. And because of that, we came back to Srebrenica today. Thank God, we have our families. I have 2 kids, and that is our victory.
Your kids probably they are playing with Serbian kids also. You don't have any. How can I say?
Kids are kids.
You know, kids are kids, and you don't hate any Serbian people or something, right?
Absolutely not. I always says, I don't want that any kids survive or see dead people. Any kids don't should be hungry. Any kids shouldn't lose family or wounded or anything. Kids are just kids, and they should play football and other games. Today in Srebrenica we have a situation that kids grow up, Serbian kids, Bosnian kids, they go to school, and we can talk about other things, but kids are kids, and a lot of things we have from their parents. Kids are not guilty for anything.
Unfortunately, 31 years later, the Srebrenica genocide is still denied in Serbia and in Republika Srpska. Our correspondent from Serbia, Zoran Kosanovic, took to the streets of Niš and asked citizens about Srebrenica genocide. Here is the look at the responses he received.
A terrible crime as happens in war, but not genocide. That is the position of most citizens and Serbia's current authorities when speaking on Srebrenica. On the streets of Serbia, few people are willing to speak publicly about Srebrenica. Many refuse to give their names, fall silent when asked, firmly deny that it was genocide, or try to explain what happened in Srebrenica in 1995.
Ne mogu na to odgovarati, ne znam, stvarno nisam uključena, ne znam.
Pa nije normalno.
Zbog čega?
Pa zato što nije bio genocid. Drugi su stvari oko genocida. Bila narod da se istrebi, to nije bilo. Genocid samo bila reakcija na kravice.
Ne, nije bio genocid.
A šta je bilo?
Pa bilo je ono što se dešava u toku rata. Za mene ne.
To maltene bila humanitarna jedna pomoć ljudima da izađu iz tog okruženja i da sam svedok tome da su izdvojene žene, trudnice, starije osobe, deca. To je sve bilo organizovano pod kontrolom, a i uz pomoć i evropskih država koje su bile tu prisutne, ali kasnije su zanemele, nisu potvrđivale taj pozitivan primjer našeg, tako eto, blagotvornog, humanog odnosa prema tom stanovništvu.
Serbian forces killed over 8,000 Muslim Bosnian boys and men who were captured in Srebrenica, which at the time was populated by 40,000 people.
Serbia has not yet faced its past. Denial of war crimes has become a common practice in the public sphere. The Srebrenica genocide is at the forefront of this, as it has been the single most denied crimes in Serbia for years.
Focusing exclusively on Serbian victims, manipulating the historical facts about the wars in the former Yugoslavia, and glorifying war criminals and their crimes through pro-government media have all contributed to shaping public opinion. Some analysts offer a simple explanation. When the country's president has spent years describing the genocide merely as a terrible crime, it is unsurprising that such views are adopted by citizens.
To je veliki i strašan zločin. Upravo zato ja smatram da je trebalo da se radi na pomirenju, a ne na dodatnoj destabilizaciji u regionu.
For the past decade, Serbian authorities have justified the denial of genocide on the grounds they do not want the Serbian people to be labeled a genocidal nation. However, genocide is a criminal offense, and under modern international law, criminal responsibility is always individual. Neither a nation nor an ethnic group can be convicted of genocide. Nonetheless, there are Serbian politicians who explicitly state that what happened in Srebrenica was indeed genocide.
Ako vidite kako izgleda politika sećanja na prednjačke Srbije, ona se tiče samo i isključivo srpskih žrtava, koje se naravno takođe instrumentalizuju, ni njima se ne ukazuje pravo poštovanje, ni one se ne tretiraju sa pravim dostojanstveno onako kako zaista zaslužuju, nego se tim sećanjem manipuliše. A sve ostale žrtve, poput onih bošnjačkih u Srebrenici, se potpuno zatrpavaju. Zvanična verzija je sada već u naprednjačkoj Srbiji je sada već da je to neka vrsta falsifikata, izmišljotine.
Vukašin Blagojević, born after the Srebrenica genocide, says he is proud of his friends from Bosnia and Herzegovina. For him, Srebrenica represents a legally established fact confirmed by international courts.
Kad pomislim na Bosnu i Hercegovinu, ne bude mi na pameti prvo Srebrenica ili, mislim, Srebrenica je najveća sramota za naš narod, za celu istoriju. To je najniža tačka na koju smo mi uspeli da padnemo. Ali za mene je cilj da kad kažem Bosna, da se setim mojih drugova i poznanika iz Bosne, a to je da me to asocira na Tarika iz Tuzle, da me asocira na Nejlu iz Sarajeva, da me asocira na Vedada iz Sarajeva i na još brojne moje prijatelje, a ne na nešto što je zaista sramota.
Vukašin's view remains rare among young people in Serbia, the country's most influential political movement. As many describe the students in blockade, has for the past 2 years refused to take a position on Srebrenica. Continued denial of the genocide among the majority of Serbian society and political circles remains an obstacle to improving and stabilizing relations between Serbia and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Zoran Kosanović, Across the Balkans, Niš.
As survivors of the genocide, what hurts you the most when you hear genocide denial or attempts to minimize what happened in Srebrenica?
Well, if we speak from the position of a survivor, this is going to always hurt us the most, because when you remember, when somebody's calling you a liar, if you're a normal person, of course that is going to hurt you the most. But eventually we, as survivors, we do not focus ourselves on what they say. We focus on what we have to say. Because I always state this, and I always bear in mind of a person who runs now the Srebrenica Memorial Centre, Director Emil Surevic, who says, our story can be told only by us, and we're the only ones who should tell our story. Nobody's going to do that for us, of course. So as much as we pay attention to the people who deny, we're losing precious time of documenting, of archiving everything that is important and that we need to leave for the future generations. So that's why we do not focus on such claims. Of course, that we have something where we document when they said it, what they said it, just because we want them to have in the record. And that is important. But to pay too much attention to that, those people are irrelevant for us. For our future, we must fight just basically by knowledge, with our pens, with just basically documenting as much as possible, leaving as much as possible to the future generations, leaving strong institutions, leaving institutions of education to the future generations of this country. And that is what we should focus on. By focusing basically on just the statements and false attacks of the people who deny and keep denying, we will just lose part of ourselves, and we do not have time to waste, basically. So that's why the deniers will always deny the truth. And the truth cannot be denied, because the truth are the facts. And the facts cannot be negotiable. We're not anymore in the time where we are trying to persuade people whether there was or wasn't genocide. The courts and the tribunal, they did that. And it is written, basically. It is going to be written for the rest of this world that Srebrenica genocide was committed by the Serb forces under the command of General Ratko Mladic. And that is the bottom line. There is no discussion about whether genocide occurred or not. We do not want to waste our time on that focusing. So yes, it hurts when they deny it, but you pass all that moment and you go on. You have your own path, and our own path, I think, is tell the truth. For the truth needs to be written, because these people, Bosniak people, they suffered long enough in the Second World War, the First World War, and we have nothing written in the records about that. This is the genocide where I think even the perpetrators are surprised how we managed to speak about that, and even more important, how we managed to write so much about that. So genocide in Srebrenica is the one that is the most documented in history, and that is important.
Our mission is not to argue with genocide denier. Our mission is to write, to investigate, and to talk about genocide. For families, of course, that it was very painful when some people says that they don't have sons, that they don't have memories of son, that they don't have pictures of son. Every grave in Srebrenica Memorial, it's one person. That they have their lives, they have their memories, they have their photos, dreams, and in one moment, everything was killed, and our energy is not on genocide denial and on that people. We have our mission. We have laws in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and we hope so that laws will work in practice. And we have only one person that they will send him to the jail because he was denied genocide, and that's one person. And we have a lot of them. They should be in jail. But our mission is something different.
Almasa and Adem, thank you so much for being our guest in Across the Balkans.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
31 years later, remembering Srebrenica remains a responsibility for all of us. I'm Nadja Muftic, and this was Across the Balkans.